Regitze. Pleasure to be here. Straight to the point. The challenge is, how do we create a more sustainable, livable, and resilient future? And I'm really zooming out to the very big picture. The UN has, in the recent year, set out 17 goals for this. But not everyone can address all 17. So in my work, we're looking at, in IFHP's work, we're looking at the perspective of the city. So we're zooming into the city perspective, and still that's a huge mouthful to look at the city, communities, and our specific byline is housing for all. So that we see as the challenge, the sustainable future, and how one takes goals, which is policy, it's written down on paper, and how do we take it a step further? And there we see a tremendous role as an implementation agent. That is more than the talk, more than the policy, more than what the nation states are agreeing on, but how do we connect people who want to implement a more sustainable future through their design, among other things. So all of you may not be specifically working with, let's say, the urban scale per se, but all of you as who are working with design in some way, shape, or fashion. Maybe you're not designers, but maybe you're sitting on the other side of the table. All of you play a part in creating a more sustainable future. And that means we need people that facilitate that, or we need agencies that facilitate that, because it's those who design who are the drivers of change, and then there are those that can help make that happen. And one specific way we're doing it is by going to a huge conference in a month's time called Habitat 3 in Quito, Ecuador. I don't know, 15, 25,000 people will converge and talk, and we'll try to push how do we take action through what is now being called a new urban agenda. So the new urban agenda is trying to take policy on a national level and push it forward on an urban or a city's level. And in our mind, one of the key recipes or strategies for this is what we call urban governance. It is how to lead and govern. And on this scale, I'm going to talk about the scale of the cities. But this governance and leadership is applicable to private sector, civil society. It's applicable to every single entity that sits in blocks here. It's also applicable to blocks as a coalition. But urban governance, what do we mean by that? You can have a great leader with a poor governance structure. That means the system or the framework is a little bit difficult. But if you have a great and charismatic leader, that person can at least set the vision forward and message very well and get a following and hopefully incite for change, for a more sustainable future. But you can also have, and that is actually the optimal case, you have a great leader. The best case scenario is that you have a great leader and a good governance structure. And this was referred to before, good governance structure where there's, among other things, ability to work across sectors, ability for a great deal of transparency, and many other facets. So you can lead cities with a good governance structure, but if you're going to really lead cities well, you need a great leader and a good governance structure. And you're really going to go nowhere if you have poor leadership and poor governance. These are really my key messages. There are cities and then there are catalytic cities. So there are cities that exist and there are cities that are drivers for a more sustainable future. And that is my